Not all types of movement are created equal, so how do they stack up against each other? To craft this tier list, I'll be evaluating each training style based on its impact on both body and mind to assess its overall benefit. Let's jump right into it with bodybuilding, which is great at targeting individual muscle groups and creating hypertrophy. The physical stimulus is undeniably solid, but it can overlook more dynamic movements that build resilience and mobility. For the mind, bodybuilding provides an ample stimulus to secrete molecules that benefit brain function. It also efficiently builds muscle mass, which has metabolic significance for the brain as well. However, the cognitive demands are relatively low, and the culture of calorie counting, body dysmorphia, and obsessive routines can chip away at mental health if you're not careful. Additionally, bodybuilding is usually a solo, mirror-facing, headphone-in kind of deal, which can be therapeutic for some, but lacks the joy, variety, and connection found in other training styles. Overall, I'm going to put bodybuilding in the C tier. It looks great on stage, but lacks some fundamental aspects that nourish the person as a whole. Next, let's talk about swimming. From a physical perspective, it's one of the most joint-friendly forms of exercise out there. The water supports your body weight, which minimizes impact while still providing full body resistance. It builds strength, endurance, and cardiovascular health all at once, and it does it symmetrically, which is great for muscular balance and posture. The main drawback is that swimming can be pretty repetitive and lead to overuse injuries in the tendons specifically. Mentally, swimming offers a pretty unique environment. The rhythmic nature of laps combined with the sensory isolation of being underwater can be incredibly meditative. It reduces cortisol and promotes neurochemical balance, but can become a bit monotonous over time. Swimming is also mostly indoors, fairly inaccessible, and requires rigid programming. All things considered, swimming is a B-tier training style. Let's go with gym machines next. They can be a valid way to build muscle, especially for beginners since they're safer than free weights, or people rehabbing injuries since they eliminate some need for proper form. But compared to other training styles, they simply fall short. Machines lock you into fixed paths and basically eliminate the need for stabilizer muscles, which are crucial for real-world strength and coordination. Brain-wise, it's super easy to just go through the motions on a machine since they have minimal mental engagement and a low challenge to the nervous system. Most people use them solo, indoors, and in ways that don't feel very connected or purposeful. So, while they do provide physical stimulus and can certainly have a positive impact mentally, they kind of miss the point when it comes to training the whole mind-body system as a whole. For that reason, gym machines lie in the D tier. Next, high-intensity interval training, or HIIT for short. HIIT is a time-effective way to improve cardiovascular endurance and strength. The burst of intense activity followed by short rest periods offer a solid challenge for both aerobic and anaerobic systems. However, the lack of focus on proper form during intense intervals can lead to poor technique and increase the risk of injury. While HIIT is mentally engaging during the high-intensity intervals, it can also lead to burnout due to its very strenuous nature. The high demand on the nervous system can be fatiguing, making it difficult to remain consistent over the long term. For some, the rapid transition between exercises may also feel chaotic, which can make it hard to develop a deep sense of flow or mindfulness during the workout. Overall, HIIT can be a useful workout for improving fitness in a short amount of time, especially for those looking for variety and challenge, but it's just less effective than a sustainable, well-rounded training style. Therefore, HIIT lands in the C tier. Next, rock climbing. Rock climbing is incredibly functional, requiring strong isometric strength, mobility, and coordination. The challenge of maintaining balance while using your body in dynamic ways makes it an excellent workout for overall strength and endurance. However, it can be tough on the joints, particularly the fingers, wrists, and shoulders. Mentally, the focus required to find hold and plan your next move stimulates your nervous system and triggers beneficial neurotransmitter release. There's a strong problem-solving aspect to rock climbing, which can be incredibly rewarding. Additionally, rock climbing is commonly done outdoors and socially, which can make it even more enjoyable. It can be stressful at times, but with the right precautions, you can start small and work your way up safely. Overall, rock climbing deserves a spot in the S tier. Now let's talk about Olympic lifting. From a physical perspective, the load on the muscles is phenomenal. These movements like cleans and snatches are explosive and great for activating stabilizer muscles. The technical demand of these lifts also put a significant strain on the neuromuscular system, providing a full body stimulus and releasing myokines like BDNF, which support brain health. People who train in this style often develop high strength to body weight ratios, which contribute to overall resilience and longevity. That said, these lifts can put a lot of stress on the body, particularly if done with poor form, and there's always a risk of injury from the high loads. Mentally, Olympic lifting requires serious focus, discipline, and patience. The technical skill needed for proper execution can be taxing on the mind, and competitions provide a social community aspect that can boost motivation and engagement. However, the emphasis on performance may lead to burnout if not approached carefully. Because of these reasons, I'm putting Olympic lifting in the B tier. It's a solid style with great physical benefits, but it's not as well-rounded when it comes to mental engagement and versatility. Next up, let's talk about calisthenics. Physically, calisthenics is an excellent training style that targets a wide range of muscle groups using your own body weight. It builds strength, mobility, endurance, and body awareness, but the form and technique required to progress can come very slowly. While it's easy to start with basic movements, advancing to more complex skills like planches or muscle-ups requires precise technique and a lot of practice. If your form isn't on point, progress will slow and you may risk injury, especially as you try harder moves. On the plus side, calisthenics demands a lot from your body, offering a really solid neuromuscular stimulus in even just short sessions. Mentally, calisthenics can be highly rewarding because it feels like a game. Each new movement mastered is a small win. The challenge of unlocking new skills can be motivating, and the constant progression keeps things interesting. There's also the flexibility to do calisthenics anywhere, making it convenient for those with busy schedules or limited access to equipment. Even though it's usually an individual pursuit, calisthenics still lands in the A tier. Next is functional training, meaning things like highly rotational and practical movements that translate to everyday life. This is a bit of an umbrella term, but overall, it's a very solid stimulus for the body because it trains niche and overlooked ranges of motion. It helps build strength in a practical way, improving mobility and coordination for everyday movements. It's a very flowing training style too, letting it stay interesting and tailored to your needs. That being said, it can get a bit extra in certain circles. The brain benefits are there too, as it requires focus and mind-body engagement to perform the movements correctly and efficiently. Functional training is also typically done in various settings, allowing a lot of flexibility in how and where you train. One downside is that some functional training spaces can get a bit overly focused on what's considered optimal for performance, which might be discouraging for newcomers. Overall, functional training is comfortably in the B tier. Next, let's talk about martial arts, which have a demanding combination of endurance, strength, and explosive movement. And please ignore my super mediocre boxing abilities. The technical nature of the practice engages the neuromuscular system intensely, with movements requiring coordination, power, and agility, offering full body conditioning. That said, martial arts are somewhat asymmetrical and don't provide intentional or consistent stimulus to all major muscle groups. There's also an inherent risk of injury due to the physical contact and dynamic unpredictability. Mentally, martial arts are deeply stimulating. They require sustained focus, quick decision-making, and strategic thinking during both sparring and drilling. The structured progression of skills builds discipline and mental resilience, while the really high-stakes fight-or-flight environment activates neurochemical systems that support neuroplasticity and cognitive adaptation. On the flip side, this can actually lead to psychological fatigue and burnout. These limitations keep martial art just shy of the S tier, but still make it an A tier training style. Next, let's cover rucking, which is the act of walking or lightly jogging with an extra load. It provides a solid stimulus for the muscles, particularly the legs, core, and lower back. The added weight forces your body to work harder at an otherwise fairly mellow task, and the continuous and rhythmic movement can increase aerobic capacity over time. Rucking is accessible but somewhat one-dimensional compared to other training styles. Mentally, it offers a unique experience, especially when done outdoors. Rucking can help reduce stress by promoting the release of positive neurochemicals, such as endorphins, while mitigating the expression of stress hormones. However, its repetitive nature can become mentally taxing for some, and without a change of scenery or activity, it can get a bit dull. For these reasons, rucking earns a spot in the B tier. Alright, so there's our final tier list. Please remember that these rankings are A, my opinion, and B, meant to reflect how each style supports longevity and mental health, not just aesthetics or coolness. There's no F tier on this list because all types of movement can serve a purpose. It's just about finding out what works for you. Let me know what you think of my rankings in the comments below, and remember that mindful movement is medicine.